Hey everybody, Jeremy here from Nobot Studios. I am back with another GRIT Galaxies RPG project update. Welcome, and thanks for joining in. Now, it's been a little time since my last project update, so I thought I'd put this video together to keep you all informed on what's going on and what is the latest and greatest with what's happening with Galaxies. I put together some notes and I realized, I have kind of a lot to talk about. So I'm going to start with talking about the playtesting, which has been going well. So currently I have 14 sessions that I've played, and I've had the opportunity to be a player in a couple games that Ryan had run, both as a one-on-one player or one-on-one game and a two-player game. And I've done a number of two-player games as well as three-player games, and they have been constructive and have been just a lot of fun, really. So I want to give a shout out to all the playtesters who have been involved so far. I really appreciate you guys kind of stepping up and getting in these games and having some fun, on some game nights. Sometimes it doesn't even feel like a playtest, which is kind of good. It just feels like a natural transition from GRIT Fantasy to GRIT Galaxies. My main focus has been just the lineage abilities and unique items. I don't think that has changed since my last video update. I'm increasingly more interested in the unique items and how they work as the grouping of 20. I want to make sure everything's balanced between all of the different 20 unique items, just so there's a nice kind of choice range for players to choose from when they're building their characters. So sometimes it's hard to test those things because of the circumstances that happen in the games. So it just takes a lot more games being played to test out all of those. But the lineages, I've had at least one game, or one of the 12 lineages, all of them have been played, and some of them multiple times, which is good. I don't have much concern about lineage abilities and their balance. They seem pretty good. There's only one, which is the Anthari, that I think needs more testing. But that'll happen over time because I'm going to keep testing here. So the other thing that I'm looking at are the monsters and that on how they work, how their mechanics are working. I'm not terribly concerned with how the monsters are working so far because they're pretty balanced. I have a lot of experience with, designing 40 of those in the fantasy book. So kind of know, what I'm going after there. Of course, there are going to be some cool, interesting versions of abilities and some interesting creatures for sure that characters will be introduced to. But again, those will be kind of introduced over time. And yeah, so those are working out fine. The only kind of elephant in the room is the vehicles. That continues to be something that I need to focus on for playtesting. And I've got, 3 games that I've focused on entirely on vehicles, or the majority of the session was about the vehicles, and a couple other sessions where vehicles were kind of included but not the mainstay, right? So with every test session with vehicles, it's getting better. I've got a lot of good feedback from players with that, which has been very helpful. So I'm kind of getting into a good place with it. And yeah, it's just going to take more testing. But I think I'm in a good spot, and I kind of talk about that in the next section here where I talk about the rules. So currently I have 110 pages written in the book. That's out of a maximum of 150 now. I've kind of bumped up the page count. So I have quite a bit written, actually. I finished the monster section, it's just completely done. All the monsters are written, descriptions, abilities, stat blocks, all that stuff is done. The humanoid monsters I'm going to rename to be villainous types. So that is basically taking the lineage choices from the characters and making them like bad guys, basically. So there's 6 of those. I think I already talked about that in the last video. That's all done. And then I have scum lineages, and those are all done. All the descriptions, all the abilities. And with them, I gave them a unique gear item that's like kind of their specialized item that type of lineage would have. So yeah, those are all done, that whole section. So that was a huge step. And what's left is I've got some stuff in the GM's guide to do, which includes some optional rules and just like kind of some like advice and that kind of stuff. And then the big thing is that I, again, is the vehicles. So I'm going to have a blurb in the vehicle section, and then another big thing is the loot. So that's like, the back of the book. That'll be the last thing I work on. Currently, the loot, I have probably about 320 or 330 of them with titles. So this is how I work, is because there's so many, I like to like write out titles for all the items. And that kind of gives me a starting point to like boost my creativity, to like, oh, it's like a tag, you look at that title and I'm like, yeah, I think this mechanic will work for it. So then I can go in later and just kind of knock them out. So my plan is to knock it out one type at a time. So again, there's going to be 20 D20 tables, which is 400 items. Big job, but once I get the rest of this stuff done, it'll be just focusing on that. So another thing I wanted to add too is that there is now a dedicated vehicle section. So that's gonna be between the players, the character section, and the GM section. So to go, table of contents, core rules, characters, vehicles, and then the GM section, and then loot. So I, talking back and forth with Ryan, just decided that having a dedicated vehicle section just totally makes sense. So I will probably have, and I've decided to kind of put 2 vehicles per page, as far as illustrations and, their stats and everything, so that I can, kind of cut down on the page count with that stuff. So I'll probably be able to put in between 8 and 12 vehicles in the book, just to give you a nice range of choices for all that stuff. And I have decided that there's going to be power suits. They are not going to be they're going to be in the vehicle section, but not included like in vehicles, in general. So there'll be vehicles in general, and then there's going to be a page or 2 on the power suits that'll come after that. I just feel like they're kind of in a class of their own. So I wanted to kind of separate them a little bit and describe them differently, slightly. Because I do think they operate slightly differently than like a regular vehicle would. So yeah, there's that. The power suits are not going to be mecha. I feel that mecha is like a super awesome setting, right? And I think it needs its own book, basically. Like it needs its own separate setting book. So I'm not going to move in that direction for GRIT Galaxies, to like make huge battle robot things that you can pilot. These power suits are going to be smaller, smaller scale. So your characters still get in them, but they're not going to be like massive, kaiju-sized kind of things, right? So that's for another thing. Maybe I don't get to that for a while, or maybe somebody in the community puts something out for it. I'm not sure, but it has to be separate from Galaxies because it's just not, it doesn't fit what I'm going after with Galaxies. So that's exciting. Vehicles at this point, they're going to be built like monsters. So there's going to be a stat block that's included to be used for the GM. The thing is that the players and the GM kind of like deal with vehicles a little differently. So the GM is going to be just like a monster. For the players, they're going to actually be able to get into them and pilot them and operate things within it. So the stat block, the only stat they're going to use from the stat block will be the grit. Everything else will be their stats or aspects. So that's where I'm at now. Who knows what the testing will show. But yeah, that's kind of the direction I'm moving in. The vehicles are going to have 1 to 5 features, just like a monster would have. And that means like built-in gear. So weapons and armor and shields and advanced sensors. Who knows? It could be all kinds of stuff. But they're going to, have the same layout as monsters to keep everything simple and easy to use. Okay. So that is the rules that I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm doing well with it. It has been a little slow last week, and that is because there's some big news I need to release here. I have decided to change printers for the printed books. I am going to go through Lulu for printed books. I'm moving away from drive-through RPG for printed books only. I will still maintain my sales of PDFs and digital stuff through drive-through. But Lulu is going to be where all the printed books come from. So eventually, Grit Fantasy is going to be converted into that. The reasons for doing this there's a number of reasons. But the thing that I'm focused on the most is producing the best quality product with the best turnaround, and also with more options, and the more options for me as a seller. So I need to, this is a future planning kind of thing. Lulu's turnaround time is just far quicker than drive-through could ever be. And the options are great. I can offer a coil-bound book, which I'm going to do for Grit games, in addition to hardcover and softcover books. The other option too with Lulu is I can link it to a website, which is ultimately my goal, and then it can go into global distribution through Amazon, that kind of stuff. So the ability to expand into other areas of getting this out there is just far greater than I can do with drive-through RPG. And it's, 3 to 5 days to print it. So there you go. I mean, the choice is obvious. So that's what I'm doing. The caveat is I have to convert from what I have been using or set up for the book to match Lulu's requirements for printing. So that means I am starting from scratch. This does not make me happy right now, but once it's all done, it'll be great. So this last week, I have been just slogging through trying to get all that kind of in place. I am also trying to improve the graphic design aspect of the book, with the goal being I want the information to be super easily accessible. I want everything to be clean and clear. And I want the artwork to be like the forefront of the book. So those are my goals, like moving forward. I feel like I learned a lot from the first book of setting up everything through drive-through. It's going to look slightly different. GRIT Galaxies will be slightly different graphically, but I think better. So, it's not going to be like a completely different book. It'll be, a lot of the writing style, everything is going to be kind of what I had before, just it's going to be organized better, and the graphics are going to be cleaner, a little different format. So in my mind, it's an improvement, and I want to keep improving the products that I make. So that's what I've been slogging through like this last week. I'm still not done. I'm still working on setting up master pages for the book so that I can get the writing in there. I have selected my typefaces. So, I've got that all set up. I know what sizes I'm going to use for my point sizes and all that stuff for titles and the main body of text. So that's settled. And, so now it's just setting up separate pages for masters for each section and that kind of stuff. And, what are the monster sections going to look like? What are the vehicle sections going to look like? What are the lineage sections going to look like? That kind of stuff. So, not my favorite, but once I get them done, like I said, it'll be great. And once I get all the text put into it, that'll even be better. So, my goal is to have a maximum of 150 pages. I mentioned that before. That's kind of a good cap off as far as the requirements of the setup, because the inside gutter, it's called, changes. It basically makes less space on the page if I go bigger than that or more pages than that, which can cause issues. So I'm trying to get under the 150 mark on that. But yeah, I think I'm going to be much happier with the direction I'm going in with Lulu, and it's going to be a better book. So, and yes, I will continue to offer the PDF through itch.io as well, and drive through, as well as the tokens and all that stuff. The goal is that I will have a website in place before Galaxies comes out, that I can sell, the book through my own website. And by doing that, I can offer the PDF for free, along with the hardcover, softcover, coil-bound book, as well as the PDF through my website. So that's the goal. That probably won't happen until probably summer, I'm guessing. I don't know what the exact time will be. But it will take me some time to make the art because there's a lot of it to do. There's more of it than last book. Excuse me, coffee time. Simply because I've added vehicles. So that's going to be a whole new section that I have to, illustrate for. And each of those types of vehicles will have an illustration and also the power suits. So just a lot of stuff. Another thing I've been doing is I've been hard at work when I'm not working on the layout, just sketching in my sketchbook. I've got a list of all the monsters and stuff, and I've been just slowly making sketches for things. These are just some of the things that I've been working on. These are pencil sketches that have been inked, and then I just basically digitized them. And so I'm going to take these and use them as a template to draw digitally over. So just to scroll through some of this stuff, these are just basically what my pages look like for my sketchbook. And I've posted this in Discord as well. So I think some of you have already probably seen this stuff. But what I do is when I work, I do a lot of sketches. I fill the page, and I just go with a theme and fill the page, and then ink them later and digitize them. And yeah, so I've been a little busy, as you can see. Like this one here is just a bunch of plants because I need some kind of background stuff for my other illustrations. So, these might be blacked out, so you can't really see much of them detail-wise because the detail of the monster has to kind of, show up first. But I was working on that. Those are some villainous types there. So I got the Mechroids and Nooblings and Zedians. Some more Zedians. And then I colored over this. Just these are pencil sketches that are just been colored over, and those are the Proteons. And then, just a bunch of mechanical stuff. I think I did one of my drawing stuff videos showing those. So, just a lot of sketching, a lot of ink. And this is just something relaxing that I like to do. Like, this is my happy place, is to get the pen and paper out and just ink and put those together, It's fun. I am looking forward to getting to the point of doing the final illustrations. That is also my happy place. So, graphic design is not, but artwork is. All right, what else can I talk about here? As far as the artwork is concerned, I've done mock-ups for all the lineages, all the scum lineages. I have some villainous types set up, and some of the monsters have been kind of mocked up with color and stuff. So I have some tokens to use for testing for all that stuff. So I'm at a good place there. I'm just going to keep working on that. And by the time I get to the artwork, I hope to have a lot of things sketched and just sort of ready so that I can just knock these things out. So another thing I want to do is, like I did last time, I want to highlight a couple lineages. So the next one is the Grixian. Now these little guys, they got a huge head, tiny little body. They're skinny, huge head, and they have psionic powers. So they can basically move things telekinetically with their mind, that are just like gear-sized objects. So that's their ability. They're odd, comical-looking humanoids, and they're expressive. They have advanced brains, and they're one of the oldest lineages out there. So, and they're famous for their saucer-shaped spacecraft. So that's the Grixian. I've had a couple. I maybe had one or I think two of those played so far in playtesting. Next one is the Gwarnock. These guys are just tough. They're small, scrappy, stubborn, and resilient. So basically, these guys they start with more grit than everybody else, and they get some bonuses on valor-based focus die rolls. So they're kind of slug-like. They look kind of dumb, and I played one of these, and I played him kind of dumb, and I think the other player that had played a Gwarnock also played him that way. Maybe it's just the look of the character. I'm not sure, but so they're small. They're kind of a little bit. I wouldn't say mean, but they're just a little rough around the edges. So they're sometimes hired as mercenaries and bodyguards. They're attracted to high quality gear, and they're known for being slobs. So they have no concern about living in filth. It kind of fits, I guess. So that is the highlight for the lineages. Just doing 2 each time I do one of these things. And yeah, I think that kind of covers everything I wanted to talk about for the update. There's just some big things going on. I feel like right now I'm just I don't feel like I'm making a lot of progress, even though I am. Once I get this Lulu conversion done, that will be a big step forward. So, and I'm sure on my next project update, that will all be behind me, and I will be moving forward. So, and I'm just going to continue testing. So I'm hoping to get one game in a week at least. That has kind of like been my goal. I think I took last weekend off because, after working on the layout and stuff, I was tired, didn't really have it in me to set up a game and stuff. So anyway, look forward to further testing, and I'm sure it's all going to work out famously. So anywho, thank you so much for, listening to me rattle on about this stuff. And for all of you in the Discord server, thanks for all the good feedback and all your comments and cool nerdery that happens over there. So appreciate that. And until next time, keep rolling those dice.